Hello, everyone, and welcome back to DSP versus the Internet, episode 82. Let's continue on with the Ultra member submissions, and for goodness sake, let's hope that we don't get this copy content ID problem and the stream gets suspended and the video frozen again. That would really stink. All right, let's see what's next. We got a new trailer for the Sonic X Shadow Generations game coming out in late October, and I know that because I just went through the gaming schedule. And I will be playing this. So.
Calls to me. We meet again, Shadow the Hedgehog. Struggle all you want.
Doom powers. I don't even know anything about this.
Your fate. New power.
Huh. What game? What Shadow the Hedgehog game is this from where he got Doom powers? I never played any of the Shadow games. The only game I ever played that he was in was Sonic Adventure 2. So I don't know anything about any of this right now. Weird. So edgy, bro. Huh. Do more. He turned into a demon? Yeah, he turned into a demon. What is this? Oh my goodness. This, I mean, this totally doesn't even look like Sonic, right? It's supposed to be Shadow the Hedgehog, so it's not exactly like Sonic, but it doesn't even remind me of Sonic. You know what I mean? Like, at all. Like, it's just so weird. It reminds me of other things of the time, basically, but it definitely doesn't remind me of Sonic. Okay. Looks like a PS2 game. Yeah, but technically, isn't it? Isn't it a PS2 game that they just upgraded for this new game? It's not. These aren't original levels. These are redone levels, right? Doom Wing. It kind of looks like the Venom symbiote, right, from Spider-Man. Sure. Sonic Adventure 2 and Shadow the Hedgehog. Yeah, because I played Sonic 06 and it doesn't have any of this. He doesn't have these powers in Sonic 06.
I am the true ultimate life form.
So weird. This is a PlayStation exclusive bonus. Play 3 days early on October 22nd if you get what? The Digital Deluxe. I'm not getting that. Yeah. Is this on PC? No, it's just PS4. Is it really? It's not on PC? Well, I'll have to get it on PS5 then. I was under the impression it was cross-platform on everything. But this is looking like it's only on PS5. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is just an ad for the PS5 version. Yeah. It's on Switch too. Is it full cross-platform? Because if it is, then I'm going to play it on PC. I should do a playthrough of Shadow the Hedgehog from 2005. Is that where those stages are from? I'm still confused about this game. So Sonic Generations, which is what this game is based off of, okay, was basically Sonic going through all his different iterations over the years. It has levels from like every game, like classic Sonic, Sonic Adventure, Sonic 06, right? It also had Sonic Colors. Like, it had all the various Sonic games from over the years, and there was levels from that. And the different versions of Sonic interacted and everything in the plot, too, so it was really cool. But now for this version, they're also got Shadow. So are you also going to play as Shadow from the various different times? I mean, that would be Sonic Adventure 2, Shadow the Hedgehog, and Sonic 06 are the 3 games he was in, correct? If I remember correctly. No, that's not Kid Sonic. That's Sonic. That's 2D Sonic from the original Sonic the Hedgehog games. Before they changed his design for Sonic Adventure. So this is what I'm confused. It's like, so where does the Shadow come in? Like, is it, he only has 3 games he's been in, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's more than that. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see. Okay.
PlayStation.
How does a drug sold to millions for 40 years suddenly get
Oh, Zantac. Oh, crap. Here we go.
banned? How does Big Pharma end up with 77,000 cancer-related lawsuits and billions in settlements?
Popular heartburn medicine Zantac, no longer available in the U.S. The Food and Drug Administration is asking pharmacies to stop selling all forms of that antacid immediately.
This
Wow.
is the story of how Zantac went from being the world's most popular drug to being poison.
I have used Zantac, but it wasn't regularly. Like, I did buy Zantac when it was available, but I only used it, you know, sparingly. I think the people who were affected, sadly, and got, like, basically cancer from it are people who are using it regularly as their antacid, like, all the time. Like, imagine if you have chronic acid reflux disease or stuff like that, and you chose to use Zantac, and now after using it for years, you have cancer, right? It's pretty messed up. So, yeah, I mean, how on earth did no one know that it was poison?
Firstly, what is Zantac and what does it do?
The main use for Zantac is typically acid reflux.
Acid reflux
There you go. So it just said that.
occurs after people eat certain kinds of food, like those with high amounts of fat. Zantac reduces the amount of acid your stomach produces, which relieves discomfort very quickly. It also helps heartburn and similar conditions, but in truth, Zantac is just a branded name. The actual drug is called ranitidine. The drug was created by GlaxoSmithKline plc, or Glaxo, a multinational pharmaceutical company, and in 1983, Zantac was approved for sale by the FDA.
You have heartburn. Your stomach is dripping with
Oh, I
harsh,
remember these
burning
commercials.
acid.
I totally remember
Which
this
way out?
commercial.
Well, you can take these every few hours, or you can take one Zantac 75. It helps prevent acid production for up to 12 hours.
And it was a big thing because back then, all the other antacids were like Tums, where it was chalky, it tasted gross, and you had to keep eating them. Like, you would have to take it right when you had it, and then you take it later in the day to keep it from you know, getting worse. But Zantac, you could just take the one pill, and it would last like all day, and you'd be good to go. So that was the difference. I remember this was big at the time. Like, people were like, "Oh, it's like a breakthrough. You could just take Zantac once. It's perfect, right?"
Glaxo advertised their new drug as the fix-all solution for all of these problems, and soon, sales exploded. Just 3 years after approval, Zantac had generated over $1 billion in revenue,
Wow.
and soon became the best-selling medicine in the world. But amazingly, this wasn't even the peak for Zantac. It was only available through prescription, which meant you needed to book an appointment.
Oh, I didn't realize it was originally prescription only. I thought it was always over the counter. So I guess they approved it for such widespread use, you could just buy it over the counter.
With a general practitioner and have it prescribed to you. But in 1996, all of that changed.
Yeah.
It was finally approved for over-the-counter use. Anyone who wanted Zantac could now have it. Glaxo's patent on ranitidine eventually expired, allowing other companies to sell their own versions. But Zantac was already a household name, which people trusted. It was bringing Glaxo billions in revenue, which attracted a different kind of buyer. In 2006, Glaxo sold the rights to sell Zantac to Boehringer, who 10 years later sold it to Sanofi, who currently owns the drug. Clearly, Zantac had made a lot of people very rich, and apparently it had also helped many with heartburn and pain. It was a pharmaceutical success story, but all of this was about to change. This whole time, ranitidine had concealed a dark secret. It turns out ranitidine contains a chemical called NDMA, which can develop various cancers when ingested. Considering this, it's shocking that this was even approved. But Zantac tablets contain a very small amount, less than the FDA's daily limit. This meant the drug was safe to consume. At least, they thought. As it turns out, Glaxo withheld vital information when submitting Zantac for approval.
What?
Glaxo knew when they were developing the drug before it was even approved, under certain circumstances, Zantac could form a dangerous chemical that can cause cancer in humans. But when they went to the FDA to get this drug vetted in 1982, They did not bring this up at all. Instead, they told a panel that it didn't cause cancer in mice.
If they didn't tell the FDA about the risks, they certainly weren't about to warn the public either. London-based GSK, which developed Zantac in 1983, knew early on the drug could cause cancer, and sold it anyway without warnings. A study laying out the drug's risks were withheld from US regulators by GSK executives for 37 years.
What the hell?
To put it bluntly, Glaxo and the other companies prioritized profits over anything else. And an uncountable amount of people had used Zantac, completely oblivious to the risks that were intentionally kept from them.
Wow.
So, after almost 40 years, why did everything suddenly blow up in Glaxo's face? Well, on September 9th, 2019, a pharmacy noticed something very unusual. They found high levels of NDMA in some of their Zantac stock, absurdly high levels. The FDA's acceptable daily intake of NDMA is 96 nanograms, and the Zantac apparently contains 18 nanograms. But the pharmacy measured over 3 million nanograms of NDMA in their Zantac.
What?
Something was wrong. Very wrong. They immediately filed a complaint to the FDA and suspected that the high NDMA was caused by high temperatures. An in-depth study and experiment was promptly conducted by Emory Pharma, and what they found was shocking.
But my question is, what prompted the pharmacy to investigate their stock of Zantac, right? Like, why did they just randomly start testing a drug in their pharmacy? That's kind of bizarre.
While basic Zantac does actually only contain 18 nanograms of NDMA, storing it at 77 degrees Fahrenheit or 25 degrees Celsius for 12 days causes the NDMA to increase to 25 nanograms. When stored at 158 degrees Fahrenheit or 70 degrees Celsius, the amount rises to 142 nanograms.
So, if you store it in heat, it makes it poison.
Well above the acceptable limit. The amount of NDMA was increasing with temperature, meaning that anyone who left a box of Zantac in their car or perhaps directly in the sun would generate more NDMA than the maximum daily limit. Ranitidine had the acceptable amount of NDMA when produced, but that doesn't mean that it will be safe to ingest by the consumer. Emory Pharma quickly filed a formal petition to the FDA, stating that Zantac could produce unacceptably high levels of a cancer-causing chemical when exposed to heat. And soon, the FDA issued an order that all ranitidine must be recalled. The FDA stated that they didn't observe unacceptable levels of NDMA in many of the samples that we tested. However, since we don't know how or for how long the product might have been stored, we decided that it should not be available to consumers and patients unless its quality can be assured.
So, the initial problem is the initial makers of the drug didn't disclose the fact that there is a possibility that the drug could have enough cancer-causing chemicals in it to be harmful. That's number one. Number two, not enough testing was ever done on the drug to determine the extreme things that can happen. Like, the first thing when you have a drug, they should be running it through these rigorous tests. What happens with extreme heat, extreme cold, if exposed to certain levels of light, right? Because the drug could change its whole thing. It could change its whole form. And then you could be hurting people. And then no one ever tested it. So, that's awful. I mean, how many drugs, I wonder, do we have today that might be a similar situation, right?
Zantac was once Glaxo's success story, but now it's Big Pharma's biggest nightmare. Millions of Zantac tablets have been recalled. Tens of thousands of customers who use Zantac to help with heartburn or acid reflux have been diagnosed with all kinds of cancer. And this didn't seem like a coincidence. It was the NDMA, and soon these victims began to sue these pharmaceutical companies.
Now to a CBS 4 News Health Alert, and there are new concerns about the popular heartburn drug ranitidine and the chemical linked to cancer.
If you or a loved one was diagnosed with cancer after using Zantac or generic ranitidine for several months, call 833-ZANTAC-1 for a 100% free legal consultation.
But things weren't so easy. Glaxo and the other companies were fighting tooth and nail to avoid payouts. They stated that the experiments used unreliable methodologies with a lack of documentation on how experiments were conducted, a lack of substantiation for analytical leaps. Then, the victims of Zantac suffered a terrible blow. In 2022, a federal judge in Florida ruled in favor of these companies, stating that the claims weren't sound. In a heartbreaking ruling, over 50,000 claims were dropped against these companies. It seemed as if these pharmaceutical giants had gotten away with murder, and companies like Pfizer were...
I like the stock footage he uses of a guy like rejoicing. Yeah! Yeah, we got away with murder! That's great.
Pleased with the judgment.
Yes!
But the fight wasn't over just yet. Over the next few years, victims continued to push their cases, but Glaxo had dodged most of them. But in July 2024, at least a little justice was served. A Delaware judge ruled in favor of the cases against the company. Glaxo attempted to appeal the decision but was denied, meaning that the cases could finally go to trial, and the floodgates opened. Suddenly, Glaxo faced 77,000 claims, and the company is expected to pay out an estimated $3 billion in compensation. Analysts also claim that the damage to the company's brand could be around $2 billion, and they aren't alone. Other producers of the drug are also under extreme heat, most notably the current owner of Zantac, Sanofi. The Delaware court approved 20,000 cases against the pharmaceutical giant, and they're expected to pay out over $100 million in settlements. It's a similar story with Pfizer, who's paying out up to $250 million to settle 10,000 lawsuits. Despite the damage they've caused and their massive payouts, these companies responded as well as you might expect. Sanofi stated that it has vigorously defended the Zantac litigation since the outset and will continue to do so.
Of course
Victims
it will.
apparently had insufficient evidence that ranitidine can cause plaintiffs' alleged cancers. The most baffling statement of all was, Sanofi is settling these cases, not because we believe the claims have any merit, but rather to avoid the expense and ongoing distraction of the litigations. No concessions of liability have been made. A response about as slimy and shady as you can get. There is zero responsibility or accountability.
And it doesn't make sense because here's the thing. Even though you might say, well, the settlement makes sense because as they're saying, it's going to be too expensive to hash it out in court and be the winner. Let's say, right, that Sanofi is in the right and they actually feel that Zantac didn't cause any of these cancers. Don't you understand that doing the settlement hurts you more than going through the trial because now your reputation is ruined? When you do the settlement, everyone assumes guilt. Everyone believes you're in the wrong. You know? So, you know what that really says? Even though that's what they're saying, they know they can't win the cases. And that's why they're settling. Because they know they cannot win. They will go through all of that and lose at the end. And then it's the ultimate end for them. So to them, it makes more sense to just do the settlements. It's a shame. It really is a shame. And it is what it is. But like I said, I wonder what's going to happen now with more. Now that this was one of the biggest drugs and it got blown up like that, you got to wonder what's next, right? So I guess we'll have to see. All right, let's go. Let's move on. Let's see what the next Ultra member. Whoops, the next Ultra member submission is here.
Come in? Hey, PlayStation, it's me, your best buddy, Concord.
Oh, hey, man, you don't have to knock. You know you're always allowed in my office, dude. I love you. How's my new favorite generic live service shooter coming along anyway?
Oh, it's actually, it's pretty funny you ask. We released a few days ago.
Oh, yes, how's it going? Have we made millions yet?
Yep, we deleted it from every platform.
What?
Yep, just threw it in the trash.
Wait, I don't understand what you're saying right now. It took 8 years and 300 million. Where did the $300 million go?
It's all gone.
What?
Yep, every penny.
This is fine. This is fine. I'm sure we got more console exclusives around here somewhere. No, oh my god, I'm gonna be sick. Some of these aren't even out yet. And what the hell is a Project Wingman? There's only one way to fix this. We have to sound the funny little guy alarm.
Oh boy, you must be talking about me.
Ew, no! Well, I guess my time is up. I was being told that jobs were gonna be replaced by AI, and I didn't believe them. Look at me now. I'm being replaced by a goddamn robot. If you could just look inside of your heart and consider— Oh my god, have you been talking to me this whole time? I'm not even listening to you. Shut up!
Maybe the solution is just to go free to play. I think that could bring in a lot of new.
Yes, baby! PlayStation's back on top! Now's the exact time to release a nearly identical PlayStation 5 that costs $700 and you have to buy the disc tray and the stand separately! This surely isn't the stupidest goddamn thing anyone's ever seen! PlayStation forever! PlayStation—
In the 41st millennium—
Jeez, that ended so quick. It said it ended so abruptly. It didn't even have like an outro, right? That was okay. It was super short. Like, I get it. It was like a little funny animation. But definitely, it wasn't as funny as I think the maker thinks it was. I don't think that that it was nearly as funny as the person who made it thought. It wasn't as clever, right? But it was okay. So here, this is interesting. A lore video about Warhammer. We're probably, I mean, it's 14 minutes long, 15 minutes long. So we'll probably do some of it. But, you know, our part, I split the part around 30 minutes and we're 20 minutes in already. Let's go a little bit into this. So I'm currently playing Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. And people have been trying to explain to me some of the lore as I've been playing it. So let's learn about the Ultramarines.
The Ultramarines and their successor chapters are by far the most numerous of the Space Marines, and their returned Primarch the Lord Commander of the Imperium. But at their genesis, they were considered something of a liability, and their late rise during the Great Crusade marked them out to the traitors as a threat to be neutralized.
It's crazy that Warhammer has been around for so long that not only does it predate a lot of the culture that kind of copied it and became super popular after, but you have like entire YouTube channels can be dedicated to just talking about the lore. It's so wild.
Hiya, welcome to Heresy 101. In this little series, I'm going through the lore for all the legions of the Horus Heresy. I'll take a look at where they are at the start of the heresy and how they got there, and then what happens to them during it. So obviously be aware that this video series contains spoilers for pretty much any of the Horus Heresy books. At the end of the Great Crusade, the Ultramarines were by any measure the largest legion the Imperium could call on. A meticulously organized and balanced weapon, expanding the reaches of the Emperor's domain in the far galactic east. But this meteoric rise would make them an early target for the War Master Horus as he plotted his betrayal. The history of the 13th Legion, like all the legions, starts during the Unification Wars on Terra, as the 20 newly formed legions started to fight in small numbers at first, alongside the Emperor's armies of unity. But while the 13th Legion were formed, recruited, and grew their strength at the same time as any of the others, they were never deployed against the Emperor's enemies on Terra, and their first recorded battle honours were during the pacification of Luna alongside.
So Terra is Earth, Luna is the moon. I wish you would clarify that for the layperson like me. I'm just trying to figure it out. I just received a $2 tip. In Shanagic Shadow Generation, Shadow gets thrown back in time. You'll get to relive places, levels, and villains from his past, such as Sonic 06, Adventure 2, Heroes, and Shadow's own game. Oh, Sonic Heroes he was in as well. I never played Sonic Hero. Okay, thanks for the additional info.
Alongside the Lunar Wolves, one of the first battles the Imperium fought away from the soil of old Earth. And the reason for this was found in the specific character traits associated with their gene seed. The first initiates of the 13th Legion, after they'd survived to the implantation process, were noted to display a tendency towards cohesion and the adoption of hierarchy, as well as a particular dedication and focus on the achievement of assigned goals. They were uniform and cohesive, where some other legions were individualistic or unpredictable. And it's theorized that the Emperor included this trait in their genetic makeup for a reason. The initiates of the 13th Legion were drawn from all over Terra and...
Oh my god, look at this world map. It's not America, it's just America. Your Atlan, the desert wastes, high Brazil, Afrique? Is that supposed to be Africa? The rad wastes. Ugh. Europa, Franc, which is supposed to be France. Germany instead of Germany. Gyptus, supposed to be maybe Egypt. They call it Gyptus. Huh. The Saragorn Enclave. Yeah, it's really weird to see like a redesigned world map like that.
Varied in culture and origin, but one thing was common. They were drawn from the tribes and populations most resistant to unification, peoples who had fought the Emperor and lost, been almost annihilated. Marrying those populations with the particular traits of the 13th Primarch was a way not only to drain the fighting strength of those areas, but also to make use of them for the Crusade, and as a result, the Legion became informally known as the Warborn. And this practice would continue. As the Legion joined the Great Crusade and pushed out from Terra, they were deployed alongside the Emperor against numerous human civilizations, survivors from the Dark Age of technology on Durnius and Lauren Sigma, who resisted compliance, and as each fell, their strength was bled to feed the recruiters of the 13th. This broad recruitment...
This is crazy. It sure doesn't sound like a good, heroic, positive, good people, right? But yet these are like the protagonists, right? Like at least I'm playing Space Marine 2, and this is supposed to be like the hero group. But then again, the main character is starting to like get skeptical to their true intentions.
Base gave the Warborn a very particular character. Like the 10th or 4th Legion, they had a practical and forthright attitude to combat, favouring unyielding direct assaults and technological superiority, and fought on the front lines of the Crusade. But unlike those legions, they avoided battles of attrition, relying on the rapid attainment of battlefield objectives and setting complex mission parameters that accounted for not only preserving their own strength, but avoiding collateral damage to the civilizations they encountered. In them was found a mixture of aggression and restraint, discipline and determination, which rendered them supremely suited for joint task force operations and cross-theatre warfare. They adopted and emulated many of the tactics of the foes they encountered, and as the Crusade ground on and their achievements grew, they openly competed with other legions, fostering rivalries with legions who'd already been reunited with their Primarchs. And despite the lack of a lord, their gene seed proved so stable that they quickly grew to a size that was capable of leading its own self-sufficient expeditionary fleets. But this status as the rising stars of the Crusade would be tested during the Osiris Rebellion, when the Legion Command, seeking to emulate the Lunar Wolves' favoured spear-tip strike tactics, formulated a battle plan to bring the wayward human planet of Septus 12 back into compliance. But while the attack was meticulously planned based on the assumed capabilities of the defenders, things went sideways when midway through the assault, the 13th Legion fleet came under heavy attack from an unknown Xenos power. The Imperial fleet was hopelessly outmatched and forced to withdraw when the Legion itself was already heavily committed, and though many Astartes made it off the surface of the planet and back to orbit, the Legion lost both its commander and around a fifth of its fighting strength in the retreat. When they returned a couple of years later at the head of a larger Imperial force, they found the sector burned and no signs of life remaining. It was the first real...
Alright, I'm gonna be honest, I'm getting kind of bored. It's not his fault, it's just like, if I'm going to experience this, it would be like you want to see it in action, right? Like hearing someone just tell you like blah, 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 blah. Oh. It's actually making me like it's making my mind wander as he's talking, right? I feel like reading the book yourself, right, is going to be way more interesting. It's very dense. It's very dense lore. Right? There's 20 legions. He's talking about they're going off looking for their Primarchs. What does that even mean? Right? Like, I don't... Why are they going off looking for a Primarch? Don't they have a leader? This group doesn't have a leader. Why don't they have a leader? I'm so confused. Because I'm an outsider to all of this. It even feels to me like you need prerequisite knowledge of what he's talking about to even understand his explanation video. Right? Like, I don't have any of this. So like, huh? I'm so confused. Oh my god, look at this. So these are their different ranks. See that? Their ranks on their shoulders tell you. Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's so complicated. It's not convoluted, it's just very detailed and deep, right? Very detailed and deep lore. Here, I'm just going to skip forward to this part. Let's see if there's anything. Hold on.
Has pulled their bolters and gunned down their counterparts in the 13th. During the battle, allied traitor Mechanicum were able to take over the Calth defense grid, destroying even more of the Loyalists before Wordbearers Landers deployed hordes of legionnaires and cultists to finish the job. During the battle, the local star was poisoned, turning the surface of Calth into a radioactive wasteland, and dedicating the sacrifice of the Ultramarines to Chaos, the Word Bearers raised a great warp storm called the Ruin Storm to cut off Ultramar and the East from the rest of the Imperium. Though the Word Bearers were eventually beaten back, the damage was done. The Ultramarines had lost around 3/4 of their numbers during the betrayal, and the war between the two stranded forces in the caverns beneath the surface of Calth raged for the rest of the heresy. Initially, Guilliman pursued the Word Bearers, tracking down his brothers Lorgar and Angron to the world of New Syria, where, as the brothers fought, Lorgar sacrificed Angron to the Chaos God Khorne and turned him into a demon prince. Escaping, the Primarch and his legion fell back to defensive positions in the Ultramar sector, where they enacted a characteristically practical plan. Fearing that
I can't. I can't. It's like killing me. Like, it seems like it would be interesting to see it happen, but to hear someone just talk about it is like so boring, right? Oh. Well, I appreciate someone trying to get me immersed in this lore. It's just too heavy, man. It really is. It's just too heavy. This would be like trying to tell the entire story of Lord of the Rings in like 10 minutes of all 3 movies. Right? All right. Anyway, thank you. Thank you for whoever submitted the video. I appreciate it. Don't take this as an offense at all. It's not. It's just that for me, like, it's too much. It's too much, too concentrated, too dense. You know, maybe there's a better way to digest it, but I don't know how. I mean, you're talking so many years of lore, all these books and everything, right? Okay. Anyway, thank you guys. I hope you're enjoying DSP versus the internet for the week. On to something different, certainly, for the next video. Thank goodness. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next part.